right, welcome back, fail-safe investors. In today's video, we're going to cover a company that I'm pretty sure a lot of people know very well, and if you don't, it's AT&T. So if this is your first time to my channel, welcome to my channel, Fail-Safe Wealth, where I pretty much analyze companies, look into companies, analyze the stock, evaluate it, try to give my opinion on it, and see if I would buy it, hold it, or sell it, and try to give you an opinion on the company also. And so if this is your first time to my page, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button so you can be notified of more videos. Hit the like button if you do like the video. If not, comment below. And let's go. Let's go. Okay, so we're going to go about this video how we normally do. I'm pretty much going to give you a brief description of the company. Then I'm going to give you some numbers that you need to know about the company. Then we're going to look at the financial statements. And I'm probably going to give you my opinion on this company. So right off the bat, AT&T, they operate in a couple segments. So their biggest operating revenues come from their communication side, which is pretty much their cell phone and their wireless network. That's like 77% of their operating revenues. And they pretty much bring in like $140-some billion from that annually or every year. But over the last 2 years, 2 to 3 years, they've been losing money on that. I'm just gonna say that's what the balance sheet shows, but we're not gonna get into details about that. So other than the communication side, they also recently in 2018 made a big purchase for $85 billion and purchased Time Warner Incorporated. And in my opinion, that was a great buy, but that added a lot of liability to your balance sheet also. But we're gonna stick to it being a great buy for right now. So with Time Warner Media, that added like $33 billion in 2019 to their balance sheet because Time Warner is huge. So you got channels like CNN, TNT, Adult Swim. It's a lot of channels under Time Warner, but it's not just channels and cable channels. You have HBO, Cinemax. They also have TNT, so they host the Big Ten. You have sports under the Time Warner. It's a lot of things under Time Warner, not to mention the WB, so they're also in the video games and all that, but let's not get off track here. So with Time Warner, or with the Time Warner purchase in 2018, they also bought Auto Media, and that was another part of the conglomerate of Time Warner. But other than that, they also operate with Latin America and Mexico. They have a huge footprint also. And also, they have an advertisement company called Xandr, which is like Xandr or something like that, where they pretty much advertise or they collect information from like their video game services and other services. They collect information and then they direct advertise through that also. So I think Time Warner was a great investment for them because that is a lot of advertisement dollars that people will pay to run commercials on CNN, TNT, and all of that. So I'm not saying that was a bad investment, but that added a lot of debt to their balance sheet, especially in the times of economic slowdowns like we're in now. So I'm just gonna say that about Time Warner. But it was a good investment right now. AT&T also owns DirecTV and have a broadband service also, which serves about like 13 million customers. But like I said, the communication side services like 166 million people or consumers. So that's like the big chunk of their revenue right now. They have a huge footprint in the communication side. And for this video, I just so happen to already have a 10K already printed out for AT&T, but we're not gonna use that for right now, so let's get it up out of here. This is what AT&T's 10K look like. It's a huge company. They operate pretty much around the globe. So according to their 10K, they have approximately 246,000 employees, and of the 246,000 employees, 40% of them are union workers. So like I mentioned before, you do have to keep that in mind when you're looking into a company. And the management, I already said this before, when you look into a company, you have to look into a management, and I'll make a point about that in this video, later on in this video. Okay, so I can't do a video without talking about their competitors and risk factors. So there's not too many risk factors, even though AT&T is a huge company because they own a lot of their lines that they deliver their service on. For like the communication side, they own a lot of landlines. With Time Warner, pretty much the risk factor is like regulations involving TVs and programs and all that, but there's not too many risk factors that can take these companies out other than their own balance sheets pretty much, and how they balance their debt and adding debt to that. But on the competition side, for AT&T, they compete with two people on the communication side, and that's T-Mobile and Verizon. That's pretty much it. They're the two top competitors on that side. But AT&T has a huge chunk of the communication service with 166 million consumers. That is huge. It's like 330 million citizens in the US. They have 166 million. So that's a lot. They have a huge footprint on that. As far as the media side, they compete against like Comcast, Netflix, Disney probably might be like their top competitor, like on the movie side, like between Warner Bros. And like Disney, Marvel and all that. But that's pretty much it. And they're still like in the top 1 or 2 when it comes to communication and media. And like, as far as DirecTV, they're only competing with like, I would say Comcast at this point. I'm just being honest. So they pretty much a good company. That's just my opinion. So let me just give you the numbers real quick. AT&T, the ticker symbol is just the letter T. That's it. It's trading around $29. They've been trading around $29, $30 for like the past week. But they have a very large market cap of $216 billion. And they have a price to earnings of 15. They do have an earnings per share of like $1 and some change. And they still have a dividend today, even as of today, May 11, 2020, of 6.98%. So if you have $10,000 invested in AT&T, you will receive a dividend payment of $698 at the end of the year. Or quarterly, they'll break it up so you get like 200 or 100, a little over 100 and some change to equal up to $698 at the end of the year. But that is crazy. And I've already mentioned AT&T's dividend in a video prior to this one. I think it was on Coca-Cola and Pepsi. I'm not sure. Like, I think AT&T has a dividend yield of 7%, but AT&T is huge. It is a huge company. So when you look at the payout ratio or the percentage of profits that they're paying out for their dividend, I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I'm just going to guess it's not over 50%. I don't know. I'm just going to guess. So I'll probably do another video on AT&T sooner or later, and we'll figure that out together. If you watched that video or not, but I did mention AT&T's dividend, so we'll go into a discussion on that. All right, here it is. You already know I'm going to say this is my favorite part. This is the part that I love the most about what I do, and that is looking at the financial statements. So let's go. Okay, so AT&T brought in total revenue of $181.2 billion in 2019. Crazy, right? So from that $181.2 billion, they have $12 in cash and cash equivalents. They have $22 billion in loan receivables, so that's money they're supposed to receive this year, $22 billion. And another $20 billion in inventory and like other assets to accumulate to a $54 billion price tag in current assets. So that's assets that they can liquidate in this year or within the next 3 months, like quickly. At the snap of a finger, if they had to, they can come up with $54 billion. That is crazy. But like I've already said, you have to compare the current assets to the current liabilities and debt, which is everything that's due within this year. So in their current liabilities, they have $68 billion in debt and current liabilities that's due within this year. So that's not a good position to be in, especially when you're this big. Now with AT&T, I have to mention it, and I already know this, but you probably might not notice, they have a lot of assets to leverage. So like when you go into like their total assets, which is like all their property, plant, equipment, intangible assets, brand, everything that you can sell possibly, it's like $551 billion that they can totally liquidate the company into. And that is amazing, especially when you only have a total liabilities of $349 billion. Now this company is huge, but they also operate with a lot of debt. They have like, on their 10K, they have bonds or secured debt going all the way up until 2067. Okay, so moving on. Let's go to the income statement. So with the income statement, we're just gonna look at the total revenue and then the net income. So like I mentioned already, the total revenue was $181.2 billion, and their net income is $13.9 billion. So they was able to keep 13.9 billion from 181 billion. But it cost them 84.1 billion to run the company. So their cost of goods sold is like 84.1 billion. So you still have like 100 billion left over from that. And then after they done paying off taxes and everything, they're able to keep like 13.9 billion. But let's not forget about that dividend payment from the profits. So let's get to the cash flow statement and then I'll make that point. So their adjusted net income is actually 14.9 billion, and how they come to that is like, it's called the EBITDA or EBITDA. EBITDA, that's how you say it. So EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So that's pretty much, like, they're pretty much self-explanatory. Before you take out the taxes, before you take out the depreciation of the inventory and all that, and amortization, you have the EBITDA. So AT&T's EBITDA is like $14.9 billion. And then you pretty much use that number and subtract the capital expenditures, which in AT&T case is $19.6 billion, which is wild. And you come up with, they're in the hole for $4.7 billion. They're in the hole $4.7 billion. So they don't have a free cash flow. Which is crazy. So they're in debt pretty much at the end of the year. So then that brings me to the question, how are they able to pay their dividend? I don't know, honestly. I'm just gonna give you a real opinion. Like, I really don't know, because their payout ratio for the dividend, and payout ratio is the percentages from the profits paid out in dividends, is 105%. So I really don't know how they're able to pay a dividend, let alone a nearly 7% dividend, and still operate. Like, I mean, I know they're big, I know they're huge, and they get 100 billion, they spend 84 billion to get 181 billion, but someone needs to answer this question for me. Google it, or whatever you gotta do. Leave it in the comments below though. I really wanna know, how is AT&T able to spend 105% on a payout ratio for the dividend? I don't know, but maybe that'll be another topic for another video. That's all enough time we have for today. And good luck making your fail-safe investments in the future. Like I've already said, if you're not subscribed to my page, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave some comments down below. And like I always say, let's get it, let's do it. So based on the information in this video, I really want to know your opinion on if you think that AT&T is undervalued, overvalued, or pretty much fairly priced at $29 a share. Some analysts say that it is slightly undervalued. Some analysts say that it is still overvalued. Like, a lot of people saying it was overvalued when it was like $30 a share a couple months ago. And some people saying it's fairly priced. If you ask me, in my opinion, I say it is overvalued, but slightly, not by too much. When you look at everything that they can do and produce, they have earnings per share, they seem profitable, they bring in a lot of money, they have a huge market cap, but just slightly overpriced. I'm not saying that I wouldn't invest in them, but I'm just saying they're slightly overpriced.